Hey, what's going on, everybody? In this video, we're going to be doing my book haul for the month of August, and I acquired, I think, 9 books in August. So actually, it was pretty reasonable as far as my standards go. So I thought that was kind of good in a way. It's kind of sad I didn't get as many books as I wanted to, but you gotta be responsible sometimes. So let's just get started. I picked up a couple books for the Tome Infinity and Beyond Readathon that I want to participate in. And the one I'm most excited about is Shadow and Claw by Gene Wolfe. And this is part of the Books of the New Sun series that he has. Wait, is it book? Yes, Books of the New Sun says right there. But anyways, this is the omnibus edition of the first 2 books, which is Shadow of the Torturer and Claw of the Conciliator. And I read part of Shadow of the Torturer a long time ago, like in college or something, just like the first couple chapters. And that was a time before I really read anything that was fiction. All I read was straight up nonfiction. So I didn't actually finish it, but I think I vaguely remember thinking that his writing was good and stuff, but it just wasn't my thing at the time. So I definitely decided to give Gene Wolfe another try. And like I said, it's Neil Gaiman says the best SF novel of the last century, so that definitely fits science fiction, at least to some degree. So I thought that'd be a really cool chance to retry Gene Wolfe. And the other one that I picked up was Packing for Mars, The Curious Science of Life in the Void by Mary Roach. And I think she's a comedic writer of lots of different non-fiction topics. I haven't read her before, but she's got several others. One's on cadavers or something, I think. So it's all kind of all over the place, but it looked really interesting. And basically, it's all about how humans might be able to survive basically in space. I think more not kind of science fiction wise. I mean like on the space station and stuff, and kind of all the quirks and ins and outs and kind of the behind the scenes problems that occurs basically when humans are in space shuttles or in outer space or on space stations or on the moon and stuff like that. So it looked pretty cool, and if I enjoy it, she's got a whole bunch of other books I can try out as well. And lots of times I think comedy or humor in nonfiction definitely helps with newer topics for readers that are kind of maybe not scared of nonfiction, but are just kind of intimidated by it, or just think it's really dry or something like that. So yeah, I'm always on the lookout for good humorous nonfiction writers to recommend to people. So that's why I picked up Mary Roach's Packing for Mars. Alright. I like to read these Osprey Publishing books, and this one is The Greek and Persian Wars, 500 to 323 BC. This one is by Jack Caston Scott, and I think he does both the actual information text as well as the illustrations. Like you see, we got really cool Persian cavalry guy right there. But like I said, these Osprey Publishing books have tons of illustrations and drawings, photographs, and illustrations especially, and they're all accurate and very detailed, as in nothing that you see right there is likely to be just sort of made up or fictitious or anything, which is really cool, especially when you're dealing with classical and ancient medieval stuff, because lots of times what we have left from art and stuff, a lot of times it's more idealistic and stuff and not actually accurate to what the average person actually wore into battle, things like that nature. And I just really enjoy this series, this publisher in general, but the Men-at-Arms and the Warrior series are really cool, and this is number 69 of the Men-at-Arms series. Another series that I like to read are the Oxford Very Short Introduction books, and this one is Prehistory by Chris Gosden. And I don't really know too much about prehistory and anthropology. I don't know how mixed those two subjects will be in this book. I've never really had good luck with anthropology books. I don't know, I've just never been able to get into them or retain the information or just enjoy them in general. So I thought maybe going on with a little bit of just more with a prehistory slant might help me out a little bit with that. And hopefully these always have pretty good bibliographies at the end of the book, so I'm hoping I might be able to find another book to continue on with my studies with prehistory and basically early anthropology and stuff like that. Alright, now the next book is the only other book that James McClintock has authored that I haven't read, because he's only put out 2. The other one was A Naturalist Goes Fishing, and that was one of my favorite books of the year so far. Just basically, it was totally random on a whim, and it just turned out to be awesome. But this is the only other one that he's written, and it's Lost Antarctica. Adventures in a Disappearing Land, and he's basically a polar marine scientist. So he stays in Antarctica, in the polar regions, like for months at a time, doing research and studying, and even some fishing and stuff. So he's really familiar with it. I just really love his writing style, and obviously since this one's Lost Antarctica, I'm sure it's going to be about sort of the changing landscape and climate of Antarctica, basically the environment and the ecosystem and the flora and fauna that's like changing, and basically I'm hoping there's some like hope for like the conservationism and stuff like that as well. But he's a really good storyteller, and he has lots of little vignettes and basically anecdotes of things that he's done or he's been told by like his other companions and researchers and stuff. So yeah, I really enjoy his writing style. And then after I read this book, I'm just gonna be like waiting for him to put out another book essentially. But he's probably just gonna be busy doing science stuff. All right, let's pick some other ones. A life science book that I picked up was David Quammen's Natural Acts: A Sidelong View of Science and Nature, and this is I believe like the first of like 4 books. I think this author, what he did was he wrote like a column in like Outdoor Magazine or Outside Magazine or something like that, and he wrote that column for years and years and years and years. And this is sort of like a collated, edited version of like a lot of his articles and writings and stuff into a book format. And it's the first of, I think, 4 really sharp-looking, matching hardcovers. So I just wanted to pick up the first one and see what it's all about. I don't really know what it's going to be about, but like I think it's a lot of it is basically going to be sort of his personal sort of just like musings on the natural world and nature and science and things like that. So I think it'd be pretty cool. And hopefully, like I said, if it turns out really cool, I'll pick up the other 3 in the near future. Alright, for my academic book, as you can see, it does not even have the dust cover. It's In Search of Ancient Astronomers by E.C. Krupp. And this is basically all about, I'm hoping it's all about basically Sumerian and Babylonian and Assyrian and like Greek and Roman, basically thoughts and writings on astronomy, or basically they're like tracking of like celestial movements and things of that nature. I just thought it'd be really cool. I thought it'd be kind of a good companion book to read right after I do like the Tome Infinity and Beyond readathon, just because that's like a science fiction space kind of book. I just was interested in astronomy all of a sudden. So it has lots of figures and stuff. So I don't know how sciencey it's going to end up being, but I'm hoping it just turns out really cool and that I learned quite a bit. Just because a lot of those ancient peoples actually were fairly gifted and pretty knowledgeable about certain things such as astronomy and stuff. Even if some of their reasonings were wrong, a lot of their actual like data and stuff was pretty good. So I think it might be kind of an interesting book. I picked up one fantasy book. I know, like no fantasy this month hardly. And it's Thieftaker by D.B. Jackson. Basically, I just felt like really dumb having books 2 and 3 of the Thieftaker trilogy without having the first one, because I can't read those 2 until I get this one. But basically, this is a historical fantasy. It's about, I want to say, pre-revolutionary Boston. During the time when Massachusetts is still a colony of England. And basically, I want to say, from what I read a couple of reviews, I think there's like 2 different kinds of magic. But it doesn't seem to be like over the top, because like I said, it's basically historical fantasy. So it sounded really cool, like Revolutionary War and fantasy combined. It just sounded like a really cool combination. So I'm really excited to start this one so I can read the other ones. And now that I have it, we're going to give it a shot. And lastly, I have picked up a World War I book, and this one is Silent Night, the story of the World War I Christmas Truce by Stanley Weintraub. And if you guys don't know what the Christmas Truce is, during Christmas of 1914, and this is just a little bit after the Western Front trenches have basically been established. During Christmas, basically both sides, or both armies on each side of the trench, especially the English and the Germans, basically got together in no man's land and exchanged gifts and took photos and basically had just like really good camaraderie between the 2 sides. And fraternization, which the generals and stuff like really hated, especially on the English side. They like really despised like what was happening, because there's yeah, you cannot fraternize with the enemy and stuff like that. But on the ground, the actual men in the trenches and stuff, basically just demonstrated basically like real humanity and stuff by basically just celebrating Christmas together, even though it was literally the Great War. But like I said, there were Christmas trees. They did bands and battled with Christmas carols and exchanged presents, and might have played soccer. That one's kind of a myth. I think if I from my other readings on World War One, there wasn't like tons of soccer like tournaments and games going on, but there might have been a little bit. But it's just like I don't know. It's just almost like a ray of hope, like during like World War One, that shows basically not every single person in the universe was just like a number. Basically, it was just like they actually had like life and humanity and stuff. It just I don't know. Yeah, I just really enjoy that moment in history, and that's why I picked up a book specifically on that topic. So hopefully, Silent Night by Stanley Weintraub illuminates that basically event in World War One really well, and I hope I enjoyed it. So there you guys have it. Those were the 9 books that I picked up in the month of August. So tell me what you guys think about any of them. If you've read any of them or heard about any of them, leave some comments down below. Tell me what you guys picked up in August. I'd like to hear what you guys are reading. And always remember, read victoriously.